All right, Shalom. First and foremost, only of all praises to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And peace, love, and salutation to all you occupants pushing this truth and truth with sincerity. I'm going to start off in Jeremiah 3 and 15. And I will give you pastors according to my heart, excuse me, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. And this is coming from the God of the Bible. God's name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son's name is Yahweh Shai. So I got this article from End Time Headlines, and it says, country music star John Rich claims Joel Osteen will never preach about end times. And these Christian preachers will never teach about end times, and if they try to, they will get it wrong. This is from End Time Headlines. In a candid podcast interview that has sparked debate within Christian circles, country music star John Rich didn't hold back in his criticism of megachurch pastor Joel Osteen, accusing him of steering clear of tough biblical topics like the end times to keep the massive congregation comfortable. Excuse me. Rich, a devout Christian and son of a Baptist minister, argued that high-profile preachers like Osteen prioritize popularity and profits over delivering the unvarnished truth of the gospel. Let me stop right there and get a precept. Jeremiah 5 and verses 7. How shall I pardon thee for this? Thy children have forsaken me. Who's God's children? The Hebrew Israelites. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and yes, some of you people who look like so-called white people. All right, your line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? Some Chinese people are really Hebrew Israelites. Okay? Going back to the 12 tribes. You're going to have Israelites that look like Arabs. You're going to have Israelites that look like Southeast Asians. You're going to have Israelites that look like Polynesians and Samoans. You're going to have Israelites that look like Ethiopians and other Africans. Okay? This is not some pro-black back to Africa doctrine. God's children are the Hebrew Israelites. It says, like children have forsaken me. Yes, ever since the Israelites got delivered from Egypt, they've been forsaking the Heavenly Father and sworn by them that are no gods, calling on Jesus. Because I'm sure this country music star calls on Jesus. All right, I don't know if this guy's an Israelite or not. I'm just saying, our people call on these false gods. When I had fed them to the full, then they committed adultery. So there's two types of adultery: physical adultery and spiritual adultery. And we've all been guilty of that. Okay, that's why it's a high time to repent and assemble themselves by troops in the harlot houses. That's what these modern day churches are. They're harlot houses. The Christian church is just a modern day trap house. It's almost like a trap house. People go there. They go there to get their early morning wake up. Okay, these people go so-called filled by the Holy Ghost. Well, that's nothing but a bunch of demons speaking in tongues. They're not speaking in different languages. They're just all that madness, and people still fall for that crap. Okay, because that's what it is. It's crap. It's entertainment. And Joel Osteen and these other mega churches, these little churches that's on the corner of your neighborhood, especially if you live in the South. My goodness, there's a church on every corner down here in the South. There's a church right down the street. I walk by it almost every Sunday when I take my walks, and I be seeing them people come out to church, and the church is next to a Tesla dealership, right? And there's a bunch of Teslas there. All right. So, the pastor's making some money off that. But these churches are harlot houses, man. And the majority of our people are in these harlot houses committing spiritual adultery. Okay. So let's get back to this article. So it says, John Rich didn't hold back in his criticism of megachurch pastor Joel Osteen, accusing him of steering clear of tough biblical topics like the end times, which we're in right now, to keep his massive congregation comfortable. Rich, a devout Christian and son of a Baptist minister, argued that high-profile preachers like Osteen prioritize popularity and profits over delivering the unvarnished truth of the gospel. We have the truth of the gospel. Okay, we have the good news. The 51-year-old singer, known for his hits like Shut Up About It and his unapologetic faith-based song Revelation, made the remarks during a recent appearance on the Sean Ryan Show podcast. Diving into the prophecies laid out in Matthew 24, Rich highlighted who the world calls Jesus, real name Yahweh Shai, warnings of the Antichrist, the mark of the beast, and widespread Christian persecution leading up to the second coming. Yeah, because let me get some precepts. Let's just start out with the Antichrist. Okay, let's just get it. First John 2:18. Little children, it is the last time, and as you have heard that Antichrist or anti-anointed shall come, even now are there many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. There are many anti-anointeds, many anti-Hamashiachs, so-called antichrists. Okay, if you're not with this doctrine, all right, this sound doctrine, all right, that we're preaching, you're an antichrist. So there's many antichrists, there's many non-believers out there, many naysayers. Okay, so we addressed that. Now, the mark of the beast. Okay, let's get that, because we can address these. We have the spirit of prophecy, like it mentions in Revelation 19:10. Okay, before I get this, let me go to Revelation 13 and 16. Let's get this. I'm a little excited now, so I want to go here and there. Let me just get one point and move to the next. Revelation 13 and 16. And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor. So there's no middle class in the scriptures. You're either rich or you're poor. Free and bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark, which goes to charagma. I think that's G5480, if I'm not mistaken, of the name of the beast or the number of his name. Let's get that word charagma, okay? Because let's just point it out. Let's get to it. That word G5480. They call it charagma.
Strong's G5480. Charagma. Charagma.
Charagma. It says a stamp, an imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. All right, so if you take this device, this RFID microchip, you're anti-anointed. You're an antichrist, so to speak. Okay, just saying it verbatim. I don't like saying that word, but somebody new might be listening. All right, Christ is not the name of the only begotten Son. His name is Yahweh Shai. Okay, the mark branded upon horses, thing carved, sculpture, graven work of idolatrous images. All right, so that's the mark of the beast. We can clearly tell you what the mark of the beast is. Joel Osteen. And what happened to this guy? What's that? TD Jakes. After that whole Diddy thing, I think he stepped down. These mega pastors, man, when the truth finally comes and these prophecies come to pass, like Jacob's trouble, the mark of the beast. Okay, you see the love of many wax and cold. People are gonna go to these leaders and they're gonna have any answers, man. All right, and there's gonna be a lot of how do I say this? All right, they're gonna be coming for you, Christian pastors, because you've been telling them lies all this time. That's what I want to say. They're gonna be coming after you. All right, and I'm not gonna mention what they're gonna do to you. Okay, because you've been telling these people lies. And like, at least this country music star is right on some. These Christian churches, they can't prophesy. They don't have the spirit of prophecy. Okay, let's get that precept. Let's go to Revelation 19 and 10. You're not going to hear this in the Christian church. And you know what? The Spirit of the Lord had me do this lesson because I drove by a church. There you go, down here in the South. drove by a church on the side of the road, and they're having Revelation studies. Now you Christians want to try to break down Revelation. You can't break it down. You don't have the spirit of prophecy. Revelation 19:10. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant. This is the John the Revelator talking to an angel, and the angel saying, look, don't bow down to me. I'm your brother. And of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, worship God. God's name is Yahweh. Okay? For the testimony of Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, because 2,000 years ago when the Messiah was on the earth, there was no J at all. It wasn't even invented until 1524 by a man named Gian Trissino. Ask a Christian about that. They're gonna be doing well, brother. They're gonna be doing all that. For the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. And let's get this word prophecy, since we already on this precept. They just give you a motivational speech, a prosperity speech that's really gonna profit them. Okay. Joel Osteen, he's about the money. Y'all ain't figured that out by now? All you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that's in these churches. Alright, and then you see these little rinky-dink churches on the side of the road. They're trying to emulate Joel Osteen. Your pastor's trying to get a bigger church. It means more money. He's trying to get a bigger car, which means more money. Okay? Let's get this word.
Strong's G 4394. Prophetia.
Prophetia says, excuse me, a discourse emanating from divine inspiration and declaring the purposes of God, whether by reproving and admonishing the wicked. So you got to rebuke and reprove, like the scriptures say as well. They don't rebuke and reprove in these harlot houses, man. This is a feel-good story to make you feel warm and fuzzy inside, okay, on a Sunday. And then you go back doing the same nefarious, wicked acts that you were doing Monday through Saturday, okay? Or comforting the afflicted, or revealing things hidden, especially by foretelling future events. We're telling you about the mark of the beast. We're telling you about the Lord coming back. We're telling you about wars and rumors of wars, World War III, earthquakes in diverse places. All right? Used in the New Testament of the utterance of Old Testament prophets. So, Christians, that's the one thing with you Christians too. Oh, we don't believe in the Old Testament. Well, the prophets in the Old Testament, the New Testament, are quoting what was said in the Old Testament. Even the one who you call Jesus, real name Yahweh Shai, quoted a lot of scriptures in the Old Testament. Like Luke the 4th chapter, when he was in the synagogue, he read Isaiah 61. So what in the heck are you Christians talking about? Oh, we don't believe in the Old Testament. It's old. What does 2 Timothy 3:16 say? All scriptures are inspired of the Most High, man. Okay? It says under the first category of the prediction of events relating to Yahweh Shai's kingdom and its speedy triumph, because when you read, that's another prophecy. Second is the 13th chapter, when the Lord makes his return. Christians are just trying to get on the Apocrypha. First, they didn't agree. Now a lot of Christians are going to the Apocrypha because it's part of the 1611 King James Bible. Hello? They don't go into the return of who you even call Jesus Christ on a chariot. Yahweh Shai is coming back on a chariot. We can tell you this all day long. Okay? But keep going to the church and you want to hear smooth things. The church is full of a bunch of old black women, man, still trying to find their Boaz, man. It ain't working. It says of the prediction of events relating to Yahweh Shai's kingdom and its speedy triumph, together with the consolations and admonitions pertaining to it, the spirit of prophecy, the divine mind, to which the prophetic faculty is due. of the endowment and speech of the Christian teachers called prophets. Now, the original Christians are the Hebrew Israelites. Read Acts 11 and 26. The gifts and utterances of these prophets, especially the predictions of the works of which set apart to teach the gospel, will accomplish for the kingdom of Yahushua. Okay, so let's get back to this article. So it says, diving into prophecies laid out in Matthew 24, Rich highlighted Yahushua, who the world only called Jesus, warnings about the Antichrist. We already established there's many Antichrists, the mark of the beast, which is RFID microchip, and widespread Christian persecution. That's going to, yeah, I can say that for you pseudo-Christians, because if you look at Project Megiddo, that's going to target you so-called Christians as well. But the main persecution is coming for the Hebrew Israelites, okay? It says the reason they stopped preaching that is because it's very uncomfortable for Christians to think about that, Rich said, pointing the finger at modern mega church leaders. Rich didn't mince words about Osteen specifically, whose Lakewood Church in Houston draws tens of thousands weekly and broadcasts to millions worldwide. Modern churches, even today, they still don't want to preach the end time message. There's a few, but not many. They don't want to preach that. Joel Osteen is never going to preach that. Joel Osteen is never going to say anything that's going to make anybody uncomfortable ever. On any level, ever, Rich declared. Well, he's right about that. Rich contrasted Osteen's approach with that of legendary evangelist Billy Graham, who routinely challenged audiences with stark realities about sin, hell. There's no such thing as hell. Okay, hell is the grave. Hell is a condition. There's no... And Billy Graham, he's a false pastor too. He's getting ready for slavery. Okay, he might be back in a reincarnated body. And we know he's an Edomite. He's going into slavery, man. Revelation 13, 9, and 10. That's all I got to say about that. Another false pastor. Heaven and the urgency of salvation. Salvation is only for Israel. Okay? Often culminating in emotional altar calls. All right? Because these Christians, they'll talk about hell all day and they don't even go into words. They don't look up words. Okay? So you're making a bad comparison. So let me get another precept. Acts 7 and 48. Let's just get it. All right. Acts 7 and 48. Acts 7 and 48. Howbeit the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. So the Most High is not dwelling in these churches, man. Whether it's a mega church or it's a startup church. I mean, I seen churches in shopping centers, man. It's like a new business. It's a business down here in the South, man. You know, you might have like a shopping center like Ross, you know, like a Target or something like that. And then, you know, in some cases, man, you know, like it'd be like a Kroger or a grocery store, and then 3 doors down is some church. A church next to the dollar store. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's trying to put a church out there because they know these people out here are gullible. Okay, and they're gonna teach you sweet lies, and you're gonna feel good about yourself, and you're not even getting a warning. Especially for you Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you Israelite foreigners. Acts 7 and 49. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will you build me, saith the Lord, or what is the place of my rest? All right, so you can't contain the Most High in these false churches, man. All right, that's why we are on the highways and byways, the real church, which means to call out. Okay, so I got a few more precepts. Let's get this one right quick. I had this pulled up. Ecclesiastes 39 and verses 1, known as Sirach. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High. These Christians don't even talk about the law. Now, we keep the law to the best of our ability, like it says in Judges 5 and 11. Unlike these guys in the purple who say, keep the law. You can't keep all the laws here in captivity, man. Like, for instance, there is a certain law in the scriptures. I think it's Leviticus. I want to say, let's just get it. You know, I don't want to. Let's just get it. I'm gonna go back to that. Leviticus 12. Here we go. You got the laws on motherhood, all right, where a woman is unclean, and you got Leviticus 15, I believe. Yes, if you go to these laws on cleanliness, okay, if you got a woman and she's on her monthly, you know what I'm talking about, she's considered unclean, all right? We're in captivity, man. You might be laying next to this woman. You can't just, put her away into another house. You might live in an apartment, man, so you got to keep the laws to the best of your ability. Okay, like it says in Judges 5:11, rehearsing the righteous acts. I just want to bring that out. It's Leviticus 12 and 15. Okay. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecy. Joel Osteen and these other mega church pastors, they're not occupied in prophecy. You're occupied in making bank runs. Okay, off you people's backs. Here it is. Now the scriptures talk about paying tithes, but ain't talking about paying tithes for the pastor's house and his car and his helicopter and his world tour. Okay, and I rest. They had this quote saying since the 80s, it's been like over $500 billion has gone to the black church. Man, that would have fixed the ghetto, man. Okay, y'all talk about black prosperity. I'm talking about you so-called blacks now from the tribe of Judah. You talk about the community and prosperity. All that money went to the church. So you need to look at your pastor like, where does money go? All right, the money already been spent, but nevertheless, you're supposed to be occupied in these prophecies. And this country music singer is right. But guess what? All these Christians, they don't have the spirit of prophecy, man. And Billy Graham, he sure as hell didn't have it. All right. So let me see. Man, let's get that Matthew 24 as a country music star mentioned, man. Let's get Matthew 24 and close it on out. Okay, because we can tell you these things. We could wake up in the middle of the sleep. You ask me what the mark of the beast is, or you ask another brother, he's going to tell you straight up. Okay? You want to hear smooth things. We're coming to a time where this establishment known as Babylon the Great is about to be taken out. That's another thing. The destruction of Babylon the Great. They're not going to go into Revelation the 18th chapter and tell you that. They're going to tap dance and skip and keep you guessing for decades. Okay? It seems like they got you people under the spell, but hey, let's get this precept. If our gospel be hid, 2 Corinthians, I think it's 3, if I'm not mistaken. Just bear with me for a sec. 2 Corinthians. Let's just type up hid. Okay, 2 Corinthians 4 and 3. I was close. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. Let's get that 2 Corinthians 4 and 3. 2 Corinthians 4 and 3. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Yahweh Shai, who is the image of the Most High, should shine unto them. So these jakes that are in the Christian church, it is hid. This gospel is hid to them. That's why they're on TikTok, always talking about the Hebrew Israelites, obsessed with the Hebrew Israelites. All right, you're probably just mad because the Lord is not dealing with you, man. Okay, so let's go to Matthew 24 and close on out. All right. They're not going to go into this in the church. All right. They're not going to go into Luke 21. I think it's Mark 13. Okay. Where Yahweh Shah is prophesying what will happen in these times. These end times. The end of an age for Esau. Okay, they can't even tell you who Jacob and Esau are. That's just Bible basics. So let's just jump to the point. St. Matthew 24:3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? That word world is G165, which goes into eon, which means an end of an age. Not the whole world is going to blow up. Okay, Babylon the Great will be destroyed. Okay, but the scriptures talk about the earth abideth forever. Ain't going to be no meteor hitting earth, okay, as they portray in these movies. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. And there's a lot of false pastors out here deceiving you and making your pockets thin, man. And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. Okay, you've been hearing about the rumor of war in the South China Sea. You've been seeing a war in Ukraine. You've been seeing that so-called war in the Gaza, which that's a genocide, not a war. Okay, you had this 12-day war between Israel and Iran in the summertime. I think that was in July, if I'm not mistaken. Gotta go back and look that up. See that you be in that trouble, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation. Yeah, you're starting to see that now, man. All this racial tension out here. Esau talking about, oh yeah, the black man is the most dangerous man on the earth. Well, hey, how did the so-called white man get this country called America? Ask yourself that question. Okay? World War I and World War II was white on white crime. So-called white on white crime, because you're not really white. You're about this color of this red letter in here. You're about the color of this YouTube emoji right here. All right? Red. You're not white. There's nothing pure about you Edomites. Okay? And like I said, there's some people who look like so-called white people, they're really Hebrew Israelites. Like I'm thinking about this guy who plays for the Oakland Raiders, number 98, Max Crosby. That guy's a Jake, man. Okay, Max Crosby is a Jake. Okay, I think Pete Carroll is a Jake as well. You know, the legendary coach. He coached USC. He coached Seattle. Now he's coaching the Raiders. I want to say Oakland Raiders, but they're in Las Vegas now. I believe he's a Jake. Okay, my main man Robert De Niro. That's a Hebrew Israelite, man. Okay, he got that sauce, man. He got that flavor. He got that salt. Okay. So continuing on, it says, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. Yeah, you see that going on in the Gaza Strip right now. That's all I got to say about that. And pestilences. They fooled you people back in 2020 with that boogeyman, but this real pestilence coming on the way from the Most High. Read Psalms, the 91st chapter. And earthquakes in diverse places. You just had an earthquake. Let me just read this from the Search Assist. Earthquake in Russia. A powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula on September 18, 2025, with no immediate reports of damage. Tsunami warnings were initially issued for parts of Alaska, but they have since been canceled, and there is no tsunami threat for Hawaii or the United States West Coast. This is really happening, man. You can go to the United States Geological Survey, which your Christian pastor won't do. He won't read these articles and break the scriptures down and filter them to the scriptures, man. Okay? Verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. They don't want to tell you about the beginning of sorrows because they business will be closed for good. Hey, so with that, Lord, when I was edifying, I want to say shalom.